Well, hello everyone. Welcome. This is Lynn Wilson. Welcome back to my home, and you're in my kitchen today. I'm between shifts at work. I have a big event at the conference center that I work at. We have a big dinner concert for Valentine's Day weekend, so I'm doing a split shift. So I work the morning, housework in the afternoon, dishes, laundry, all that mom, wife stuff, and then I've got to go back at night. The problem is I won't be here for dinner, and I have my husband here, I have my youngest son, and my mom's here for a day or two. So I have to have dinner for them. And so I thought, you know what? I'm doing my freezer/pantry challenge and using up what I have. So I kind of looked around and said, a few days ago I made some meatballs, and you get sick of meatballs after a while. You can only eat so many meatball sandwiches. So I thought I could use them up, and I had some other cheeses, and not exactly what the recipe called for, but I'm going to use up what I have and gather my bits up. So we're making $1 million casserole to appease my son because it has to have pasta in it. I called it noodle casserole. So that seemed to make him happy. So we're going to gather up the bits that we have. I'm going to tell you in the description below the recipe, the actual recipe for $1 million casserole. And then I'm going to put my recipe of what I gathered up in my bits to make my recipe. So that'll be below. And so what we're going to do is basically layer it. Now my husband has had a back injury. He's been laid up for 6 weeks. He can barely walk and get out of a chair. So he can't lift a tray out of the oven. My youngest with autism, not so much in the oven, so he can't. And my mom has a back injury. So it's pretty tough when you go to work and you got 3 people at home that can't use the oven. So I had my Ninja out. It's a Ninja crock pot oven. We've got a slow cooker on this side. We have a stove top on this side, and the oven's over here. And I used it when I made my meatballs. So I thought, why not use it now? I can put everything in it, tell my husband when to turn it on. It'll warm up dinner for them. They'll be in good shape when I come home from work tonight. I can scoop the rest out, put it in a container, and they'll have leftovers for lunch tomorrow. And no one has to use the oven. So, first thing I'm going to do, just to make sure, is put a little spray in it. This is the Crisco butter. This I absolutely love. I usually get the spray from Aldi's, but I did a Walmart order online, and I ordered this probably 2 years ago when I started using Walmart. I love it. I really do. So just a light spray. So that's the first thing we're going to do. Now, it calls for spaghetti sauce, tomato sauce. I don't have any. So I have a can of crushed tomatoes. So that's what we're going to use. And you do a little bit of a layer of whatever tomato sauce you have. Okay, so here is my Ninja. Let me show you up close so you can see what it looks like in case you're interested in that cooking system. I had one of these probably 15-20 years ago, ran it into the ground, and I ordered another one. They're about $50. I would highly recommend it. Again, you can see stovetop. You can do slow cooker, you can do oven. I love this thing. I love it. So it makes a good sized pot of soup and so on. So that's our first layer, is going to be the tomato sauce. Okay, so the next thing it calls for is, they call for elbow macaroni. I don't have any. I don't even know how to pronounce that, but I have the bow tie pasta, so we're going to use this up. I like Barilla the best because I don't find it as sticky. I don't like a sticky pasta, but hey, we're gathering up whatever we have using the bits that we have. So whatever pasta you have, that's what you use. So this one for al dente was 11 minutes. I cooked it up ahead of time. I rinse it. I do rinse my pasta. I don't like it right out of the pot. Put it in here. Added, this is the pot I used to cook it in. Added a little olive oil to it and just stirred it around and let it cool off. So we're going to do a layer of this, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. So I told you I had some leftover meatballs. So I put them in a Ziploc. I'm going to put them in a bowl. I'm using up what I had left over. Now this has some tomato sauce in it, so that'll add to the flavor. And the meatballs already had garlic and onion powder, and I'll put my meatball recipe in the description below as well. But you know, we don't want meatballs anymore, so I don't want to waste it. I could freeze them, I could do that, but since I had other things, I'm going to use them up. So I have my meat chopper. If you don't have one of these things, these are great for scrambled eggs. These are great for pasta. I mean, not pasta, rice, like if it gets all clumpy. This is a meat chopper. I use this thing for everything. So we're going to just chop up our meatballs, and I'm going to chop it all up into small little tiny bits, and we're going to sprinkle a layer of that, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, I'm just chopping the last, you know, kind of little bit of the meat, and the meatballs were cold, so they were a little to push down, but chopped them up into small bits. Let me make sure I've got every meatball chopped up in here. I think I do. And we're going to do a layer of this in the pot, and then I'm going to show you what that looks like in a minute. So let me just put a layer of this in here. So you can see this is an easy recipe. This is something you can get the kids involved in if you're trying to teach them, you know, how to be frugal and how to use up what's in the refrigerator. You could really do taco meat with this. You could do anything, and you know, do flavors that your family likes. That's part of the fun of cooking. You can take a recipe that somebody else uses and create something of your own that, you know, maybe, well, there's a big meatball. Let's chop that up. Maybe something that, you know, I use and you go, oh, we don't like bow tie pasta. Well, use what you like. So put another little bit. Okay, so I'm going to finish that up, and I'll show you what the inside looks like. Okay, the next thing it calls for is mozzarella cheese. Don't have that. We're gathering what we have. So I have some cheddar cheese from Macaroni and Cheese, big bag of it. I'm never going to use all this up for macaroni and cheese, so we're going to do a layer of this. All right, and let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so here is what the cheddar cheese looks like. And again, they call for mozzarella cheese. I don't have mozzarella cheese. We're using up what we have in our freezer and in our pantry. And I have cheddar cheese to use up. So let's see what the next ingredients are. Okay, so the next layer is a layer of ricotta cheese mixed with sour cream, mixed with cream cheese. So I'm going to put all this in a bowl, and I don't have a KitchenAid. I had one that someone had given me years ago. I didn't know how to use it. I didn't match my kitchen. So I gave it to my older son when he got his first apartment, and I think it's sitting on his pantry shelf, and he's never used it. Maybe someday. But so I use a hand mixer, and I've used that. I'm married over 30 years. I've used it for everything. It served me well. To be honest with you, I still have the same hand mixer I got at my bridal shower, if you believe it, and I use it all the time. So we're just going to use a hand mixer on this. So I'm dumping the cream cheese in the bowl, as you can see. I'm going to dump the ricotta cheese in here, if I can get this little plastic off. Let's poke that. Peel that top off. And pour that in there. So that's ricotta cheese. I have whole milk ricotta cheese. That's what we prefer. Again, if you're being careful, you want to get skim milk or whatever type. You could also use cottage cheese. You do not have to use ricotta if you have cottage left over. So again, use what you have and use what you like. I find sometimes when I copy a recipe exact to what somebody else has done, and I know I don't like certain things in it, I regret it. So, okay, now I'm dumping in, what is this? 1 pound, 16 ounces of sour cream. Again, use what you like. You could use yogurt. You can use plain yogurt for this. You could use a lower fat content of sour cream. This is just regular sour cream. So I'm going to mix this up with my hand mixer, and then I'll show you how we layer it. So I'm finishing up my mixing, my handy dandy Black & Decker 32 plus year old hand mixer, and that was our sour cream, ricotta cheese, and cream cheese. And again, like I said, use what you want. Use whether you want full-on strength of sour cream or you want a reduced fat, whatever you want. You use what you have and what you like. So let me get this layer in here. Get my mixer out of the way. And okay, so grab my spoon. So I'm going to put, let me lift this up. Put a layer of this in here. And I think I'm going to just spoon it over the top because it's clumpy and ooey gooey delicious looking. But oh, this smells so good. So I'd invite you to dinner, but I have to go to work tonight. So I'll catch you next time around. I'll let you know. And then you can come over for dinner. And it's funny because some of my local friends that watch my YouTube channel will message me on Facebook and say, oh, I'm coming over for dinner. So let me show you what the inside looks like. Okay, so here we have our next layer, and that is, okay, let's review again. We did the spray, we did tomato sauce, we did pasta, we did cheddar cheese, we did a layer of the crushed meatballs, and now this is sour cream, ricotta cheese, and cream cheese all stirred up together and poured over top. Now you can also add to this if you wanted some spices. There's the box of Barilla I use. There's the, there's my essential oils in the background. Here is my, how do I get it over here? Let's put it down. The Crisco butter that I use, that's good. There's the chopped up meatballs. There's, ooh, that looks really white on camera. That's the cheese mixture. And I can hear my dog grunting in the background. He's probably smelling all this goodness. So let me show you the next step. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit more of the tomato sauce. And you don't need to see this. You already saw the layers, but we'll just talk. And I'm going to do a little bit more of the pasta and get that on top. Boy, this makes a lot. Woo! This is a lot of food. A lot of food. This is with leftovers. Oh my goodness. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is the meat. And put that on. We're not huge, big meat eaters. We like chicken. We tend to do a lot of pork, but in small amounts. And we love chopped meat over like a London broil or a pot roast or anything like that. We don't really like that. So, okay, then I'm going to put in, let's see, what was it? Cheddar cheese. Let's put the cheddar cheese in. I have to rush. I got to get back to work. So, cheddar cheese. And then we're going to do more of this. Looks like white paint. Put this on top. Okay, so I think actually I have enough to probably do a small dish that I can do and stick in the freezer. Like I need to put another thing in my freezer. I'm trying to empty out my freezer, but I could put it in the freezer and maybe give, you know what? I just thought of something. I have a friend whose husband was in the hospital and they're home and they're probably struggling trying to make things work and get back to normal. I'm going to use what I have left over, make a dish, wrap it up, put it in the freezer, and deliver it to her this week frozen. She can either thaw it out and pop it in the oven, or she can put it in her freezer for another time when she needs a meal. What do you think about that? We talked about doing for others on some of my other videos and encouraging one another. I have leftover food. I think I'm going to bless her with that. So here's the last thing that I'm going to do. Let me just show you the top of this. Okay, so this is the final layer, and you can see there's the top of the Ninja. It's almost to the top. So that's a double layer, and what I'm going to do is, it called for mozzarella cheese, and I found in my freezer some frozen slices of mozzarella. So I'm going to put a layer of frozen mozzarella on top, slices, and then that will be my contribution of mozzarella cheese. So this is just slices. You can buy slices of mozzarella. I had bought this thinking I'd make like little mini pizzas or something. But again, let's use up what we have. So I'm going to just sprinkle and layer just like pieces on the top. And I'll show you a picture of this. Oh, this one's still pretty frozen. Let's see, it's coming off, breaking up in bits, but that's okay. Who cares? It's going to melt, right? So let me just kind of sprinkle that over the top. That'll add a nice touch. And crumble it up maybe a little bit might help. I got a little bit more here, and then I'll save some for the dish I'm going to make for a friend. I'm glad I thought of that. You know, how many times does God lay somebody on your heart and you think, oh, I should do something for them, but I don't have anything? Well, this is a great idea. I can pack this up, make a dish for them, and I'm working the next couple days, so I can't really get over there, but I could put it in the freezer and then drop it off. I think I'm off in the middle of the week for a couple days, and I can drop over the house or give her a call and say, I've got something for you. Can I pop over and bring you some dinner? I think that's a great idea. What do you think? So I'll tell you what, since I've told you so much about me, I want to get to know about your life and everything that you do. So leave a comment below. Tell me, this is what I've been using, cleaning out my freezer. Somebody did comment on one of my videos, left me a great recipe idea, and that was great. So what are you using in your freezer? What do you have to use up that maybe you need ideas? Post that comment. Maybe somebody can give us some feedback on how they use things up. What do you do for friends? Do you ever bring them a meal? Do you do something special? Do you just bake things? Do you cook a meal? Do you add like a card to it? You know, how do you present it? What do you do? Do you call them? Do you just pop over? Leave a comment below on that. How do you encourage somebody when you know they're down and out and they're not feeling really good? So I think we're gonna be pretty good. What do you think? I have it in the pot. I'll show you a picture of what the top of it looks like in a minute. We're gonna turn it on. It's not time yet. I'm looking at the clock on my stove. We have about 2.5 to 3 hours before it needs to be turned on. I'm headed back to work in about a half an hour, so I'll get my husband to turn this on. I will show you at the end of the video a picture of it on the plate, how delicious it looks. And again, this is called $1 Million Casserole, but shh, don't say anything. I'm calling it noodle casserole. So this way, my son who has sensory issues and texture issues, if there's pasta and we call it noodle pie or noodle casserole or noodle anything, noodle bowl, whatever you want to call it, we can rename it because I use my own ingredients, so this is really my recipe. We can call it whatever we want. There's pasta in it. He'll eat it. He'll love it. My husband, if I make it, he eats it. He knows I do good stuff. He's happy. He's smiling right now. So we're going to do that. I also did make, cleaning out my pantry and my freezer, as we talked about in my previous video. I made meatballs that I used the leftovers in this. So hey, you have leftovers, either freeze it or recycle those meatballs and use them in another casserole or another dish. So I did make meatballs. I'll have a picture at the end for you of that. I also made barbecue ranch kielbasa with red chili sauce. Let me tell you, you need something that's a crowd pleaser. It was oh so good. So I made that. I made the meatballs, and I feel like I made something else. I can't think of what I made. Oh, hot dog casserole. And I used leftover potatoes. I used hot dogs instead of kielbasa or sausage. It's really called sausage casserole. But I called it hot dog casserole because this mama only had hot dogs. So I used hot dogs, potatoes, and sauerkraut, a little salt and pepper, and a little garlic powder, a little onion powder. And you put in 2 bay leaves, and you cook that in the crock pot. Don't use the Instant Pot. I did it in that one time. It doesn't absorb the flavors. It cooks it up fine, but you want to absorb those flavors. So put it in the crock pot. Oh, I can taste it as I'm telling you. Then before you serve it, you take the bay leaves out. I will tell you a funny story. I took it to church one day, and when I show up at church with my ninja, the one elder at the church and the one pastor at the church, the ninja's here, and they always want to see what's under the lid. They get so excited. And I had made this sausage casserole for a Halloween outreach we had, and he saw the bay leaves in it, and I kept saying it's a sausage casserole, and he goes, what are those things? I said, they're bay leaves. And he goes, oh, bay leaf casserole. So I can call it bay leaf casserole because that's what he called it for me. So comment below. Let me know what's happening in your world. I'd love to get to know you. Don't forget to subscribe. I've got lots of up and coming videos that I really think you're going to enjoy. Give me a thumbs up so I know you're watching my video. You're going to encourage me. And if there's certain recipes or things you'd like information on, I like quick and easy meals. I don't like anything complicated. This thing, if I didn't record it, would have probably taken me 5 minutes to throw together. It probably will take a half an hour in the oven, and I guarantee you it's about 5 minutes to eat it. They'll wolf this down and no problem. And there'll be plenty of leftovers for 1 or 2 meals during the week for lunch, or if company happens to pop in, we're in good shape. So again, don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up. If you like the video, leave me a comment below on what's happening in your world. Thanks for coming by my home, and we'll see you soon.